Hey, what's up, everybody? What's going on, my friends? Your friend Dean Kulaweera here. Every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time Zone, I'm right here to help you folks out with job search and recruitment tips, advice, strategies, all that stuff. And look, I didn't get a chance to prepare a specific topic today, but I do make the commitment every week to show up. All right, so I'm just gonna keep it like an open Q&A. So if you're tuning in, you're watching. Feel free to put any questions you have about whatever situation you're going through in your job search. Feel free to put it in the comments, folks. I'm going to respond to all of your comments today. So let's keep it open today. All right. So no specific topic. And I'll leave it at that. But while you folks are getting prepared with that and typing in your questions into the comments, just a heads up that what was I going to say? I don't even remember what I said. See, look, folks, you're not always going to be prepared, right? Actually, let's talk about that. How are you going to how do you deal with those situations in your job search where kind of things are kind of thrown in your way unexpected? Right now, today I got busy with a couple of other stuff, so I didn't get a chance to prepare a specific topic to talk about today. So before I get into that, though, make sure you hit like and comment, and make sure you share with your network as well. For those in your network who might be actively job seeking, I post various content throughout the week on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Also have a LinkedIn newsletter. Also have a podcast on Anchor, Anchor.fm, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. All my links, by the way, are at this page right here. So linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter, linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter. So feel free to check out that page for all my social links. And make sure you subscribe to my LinkedIn newsletter as well. Appreciate everyone that has subscribed. You can see the newsletter if you go to my LinkedIn profile. Go to the featured section. There should be, one of those featured posts should be my LinkedIn newsletter. So feel free to go there, check it out. New edition released every week on Mondays during the afternoons, right? So make sure you subscribe to that. Today's session, as usual, is sponsored by Tech Recruiters 360, which is my recruitment business. So if you're an organization in Canada looking for tech talent, if you're an IT professional anywhere in Canada looking for your next career progression opportunity, make sure you reach out to me for more information on how I can personally help you with that, regardless of which side of the table you're at, right? Whether you're an organization, whether you're an IT professional looking for your next gig. Today's session is also sponsored by DK Global Talent. If your biggest problem, folks, is you're applying for jobs, you're not getting responses, my course, Applying to Jobs Online 101, teaches you how to increase responses to your applications by up to 20%. And in some cases, more than that, depending on how much effort you put in and depending on how much work you're willing to put in, of course. And I do this through teaching my 3-step process for applying to jobs, which is applying for opportunities, which most of you are already doing. But the second and third step is the most important, which is number 2, making direct contact with hiring managers and recruiters by sending them an effective, eye-grabbing, attention-grabbing message. And step number 3, which is follow-up, right? So that helps increase responses to your applications. For more information on that, feel free to check out my page in regards to that, dkglobaltalent.com/get responses, dkglobaltalent.com/get response. All right. So with that being said, feel free to put your questions in the comments. Let's see. We got my friend Sneha in the house. So Sneha, thanks so much for tuning in. Always good to have you here. Sneha says, can we apply to the same job if one has received an offer previously and then decline the same? So Sneha, that's a good question. So I guess what you're asking is, if you applied for a job in the past, same company, you received an offer previously, but then you declined the offer at that point in the past as a candidate, right? So this is a great question. And look, on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, I mean, what do you have to lose? You might even though you declined an offer with this company in the past, you want to apply again. Sure, you can go ahead and apply, but frankly, I mean, is this company going to want to consider you in the future again, like after you've declined an offer from them? Might be kind of a case-by-case situation there, right? I mean, some people some organizations might take that personally, right? So some organizations might be like, yeah, I mean, why would we want to consider this candidate again? I mean, we gave them a great offer in the past before. We were so excited about them. We were so happy to get them on board. And then boom, they declined us, they rejected us, right? So if it's a case where the recruiter or even the hiring manager maybe they took it. I mean, look, folks, many of us, like, we don't take rejection too well, right? Whether we're a job seeker and even on the organization side of things as well, right? As crazy as that might sound. So it might be a case by case basis, Neha, right? I mean, some organizations might not care. Some might be like, hey, you know what? We gave them a shot. They declined us. They rejected us in the past, so we're not going to consider them for the role. But other organizations, they might be like, hey, thank goodness, like we really like this person, but and you know they're interested in applying again. Yeah, let's do it. Let's see if we can actually convince them this time, right? So it's a great question, Sneha, right? So I would say it depends on the organization, depends on the people involved in the recruitment process. Some might take it personally that you declined their offer last time. Others might be like, hey, let's see if we can convince them this time. Let's get them back in. Let's show them what we've improved in our organization since the last time we spoke. Let's talk about the exciting stuff that's happening right now. Let's talk about how we can help them progress their career. So it depends on the attitude of the organization, depends on the attitude of the recruiter, the recruitment team, the hiring manager, and all that stuff, right? So great question there today, all right? So I would say again, depends. We got Natalie in the house. Shout out to Natalie. Thanks so much for tuning in, Natalie, and hello to you as well. Hope you're doing great. Hope you're doing fantastic wherever you are. So Natalie and everyone else out there, today's kind of an open Q&A. I haven't prepared a specific topic today, so any questions you folks have, that goes for you, Natalie, as well as anyone else out there. Anything job search, recruitment related, feel free to drop it in the comments, and I'm happy to see if there's any way I can assist with my own personal perspective on things. All right. We got Vidusha Silva in the house. Vidusha Silva in the house. Shout out to Vidusha. Thanks for tuning in, Vidusha, and hello to you. Vidusha says, hi, Dean. I'm Vidusha from Sri Lanka. Oh, we got Sri Lanka in the house. That's my roots, folks. I got to give a shout out to my roots. I come from a Sri Lankan background, so shout out to Vidusha. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope everything, by the way, Vidusha, is okay over there, right? So hope you and your family are doing great. So Vidusha says, hi Dean, I'm Vidusha from Sri Lanka and looking out for a job in software QA field. Is it possible to land a job without being in Canada? Vidusha, to be very frank with you, that's a tough one, right? Because generally, especially if you're reaching out to recruiters, I mean, us recruiters, we're expected to find people that have the valid work status, and typically they're already here in Canada, right? Even though some companies, yeah, sure, they're okay with 100% remote and stuff like that. But even then, I mean, most companies, most organizations, when they're engaging with recruiters such as myself, they typically expect us to find people who are already here in Canada and who have their valid work status and all that stuff. Now that being said, Vidusha, I mean, in cases where I mean, I don't know much about you, Vidusha, but maybe you have a very specific niche skill set, right? Of a niche or niche, depending on how you pronounce it. Skill set that's in demand over here, hard to find. People over here don't have that skill set. It's hard to find. Those would be the situations where recruiters as well as hiring teams are more open to considering individuals outside of the country, right? So just a quick example, I experienced this a couple of years back when there was a high demand for DevOps people, and there was somewhat of a shortage of DevOps people here in Toronto as well as Canada. So during that period of time, and this was a few years back, clients that I was working with, like that I was working with as a recruiter, they were more open to me presenting them with candidates who were outside of the country, right? Because of this shortage that existed for DevOps people a couple of years back. But that's not the case now, right? I mean, I can't do that now. I can't go up to these clients and be like, hey, would you consider DevOps people from overseas? They'd be no. And it's kind of similar situation for QAs as well, Vidusha, from my observations and my understanding of it as well. Most recruiters, most hiring teams, they're able to find people locally here in Canada. So there's not much of a case for them to go outside of Canada. And aside from that, people locally here in Canada, like Canadians as well as people with the permanent residence and the work status, they're very much protected from outside competition from outside of the country. Like an organization to actually hire, sponsor, and get someone from outside of the country, like the organization really has to show that there's a good reason for doing that, because they have to show that, okay, we weren't able to find people with this specific skill set locally here in Canada, and that's why we're going outside of the country to find the people that we need, right? So it's very protected over here, and I'm not sure if that's the case for other countries in North America, like as in America and stuff like that. But that's the case here in Canada. It's the local talent is very much protected in that sense. But that being said, Vidusha, my advice to you would be, start building your connections, start building your connections, start building your network, with in terms of people in the tech industry here in Canada. And also, maybe focus your efforts on hiring managers, potential hiring managers and hiring teams. I mean, ultimately, look, they're the ultimate decision makers, right? Maybe they might be more open to maybe pulling some strings and seeing if if they really like you, that if they can get you down over here, right? So it depends on that your relationship, the impression you make, and stuff like that. So I would say maybe focus your networking efforts with your peers, fellow software QAs over here in Canada, as well as higher ups, managers, senior managers, directors, VPs, people like that. In any case, make sure you have a strong network already in place, so that by the time you do get here, like you're pretty much. I mean, you have a strong network of connections, right? So think ahead, Vidusha, right? So hope that helps, and I hope you're doing great. We got Raphael Dean. Hey, Raphael, what's going on? What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing great, and always good to see you here. Thanks so much for tuning in, and hope you're doing great. I believe you're in, if I remember right, you're in ATL, the big ATL. So hope everything's going great over there for you in Atlanta. We got Raphael says yeah, I know. Sneha's question that was a really deep question, right? For those of you who missed that, maybe scroll up to the previous comments, or watch the replay after. My friend Sneha asked such a deep, great question. We got Shalini in the house. Hey, Shalini, thanks so much for tuning in, and a hello to you as well. Hope you're doing great. Peter says, shout out to my friend Peter. By the way, folks, anyone who has an interest in PMO, right? Project management office kind of stuff, make sure you follow Peter. He's very much involved in the PMO community. He's always posting stuff and virtual events and stuff going on in the PMO industry. So make sure you follow him as well. All right. So Peter says, hi, Dean, regarding declining an offer and then reapply, my point of view is that we shouldn't take that personal, neither from applicant or organization part. Life happens nonstop. There must have been a reason. That's it. New application is a different situation. Although I do accept that some people or organizations takes it personal and wouldn't apply or wouldn't accept the application. Peter, 100% agree with you, right? I mean, look, folks, okay, whether you're a job seeker, whether you're an organization, I agree with what Peter's saying here, right? I mean, let's try not to take it personally. Now, there's going to be cases where it's going to be more difficult for you to not take it personally when you've been ghosted, when you've been ignored, obviously when you've been treated unprofessionally, and I'm talking whether you're a job seeker or as an organization. Because look, organizations face candidates ghosting, suddenly disappearing and ghosting them suddenly as well, right? Like, I mean, I've heard stories of organizations where they hire someone, the person's like, yeah, I'm good to go, I'm excited to start, and they simply, decide not to show up to work. Right. I mean, in those situations, if you reapply, I mean, chances are the organization is not going to, I mean, that's kind of an extreme example, but you folks get what I'm saying, right? Like, we kind of got to look at it as a case by case situation. But overall, I mean, outside of that, let's not take it personally, folks. Right. If you got declined, if your offer got declined, if you, if you're a job seeker and you got declined as part of the interview process, and it's not something that was done unprofessionally, you weren't ghosted or anything like that, outside of that, let's not take it personal, folks. Right? There could be a whole bunch of reasons why you weren't selected for the role. Maybe they loved you and it came down to like this one little thing that some other candidate had, or maybe it came down to one single thing that some other organization offered this candidate that your organization was not able to offer. Don't take it personally, right? Don't take it personally. I agree with what you're saying here, Peter, right? So thanks for that. Totally agree with you 100%, Peter. Great point there. Sneha says, how important is it to read the job description posting while applying to a job? Sneha, Sneha, I'm so grateful that you're helping me out today, because I didn't prepare a topic. So my friend Sneha here, she's a recruiter herself, so she's really helping me out with some good topics to talk about. So yes, I mean, this is so important, folks, right? Like, you gotta read the job description before applying for a job. This is a major pet peeve us recruiters experience and us recruiters have. Right? I mean, we go through so many applications that clearly do not even meet the core requirements for the role. And you know what, folks? You're making it more difficult for people that actually do qualify for the role, right? So let's think beyond ourselves as well. So when you're applying for a role, don't just randomly hit apply, or just randomly hey, upload my resume, submit, send, that's it, boom, let's go to the next position, right? Take a few seconds, folks. Take a few seconds, read over the job description, make sure you at least meet the core requirements. Meet the core requirements for the role. When I mean core requirements, at least meet let's say you're applying. It's a Java developer role. It's an intermediate Java developer role. If you're not a Java developer, don't apply. If you're entry level, it's an intermediate level role. I mean, you don't meet the core requirements, right? And you applying, and all those other people that are going to be applying that don't meet those core requirements, it just makes it more difficult for those people that are intermediate level Java developers who have applied for the role. It's just more difficult for them and their resumes to get found, right? You're making other people's job search more difficult who do qualify for the role. So this is where I'm saying that each of us contribute to each and everyone else's job search. If you think about it, right? If you're just randomly applying for jobs and you're not actually at least meeting the core requirements, it's just going to make things more difficult, folks, right? So read the job description, make sure you at least meet the core requirements. And in my opinion, if you meet the core requirements and overall, aside from that, overall, you meet at least 65 to 70% of what's listed in the job description, then you should definitely apply, because not each and everything on the job description is a requirement. The core requirement, the core stuff, yes, that is 100% required for the role. And overall, outside of that, like if you meet 65 to 75% of what's listed in the job description, by all means, go ahead and apply, right? But don't apply if you don't have the core requirements for the role. So thanks for that. Thanks for that assist there, Sneha. Thanks so much for that. And Mohammed says, hi, Dean. With the current immigration mess in Canada, how do the companies deal with the delayed work permit process? Yeah, so Mohammed, that's a great question. I don't work with the work permit side of things, so I'm probably not the best person to ask about this. And I don't deal with the whole, sponsorship, work permit, immigration side of things as well. Maybe you might wanna ask that question to maybe a credible, trusted immigration consultant who frequently deals with these work permit situations. I mean, that might be someone else. Those might be the individuals that might be more versed with this. Myself, I'm more so on the third party recruiter side of things, and we don't generally deal with work permit situations and immigration related situations as well. So unfortunately, sorry, I can't help you with my own opinion, Mohammed. I'm not well versed with this, but maybe an immigration consultant might be able to help you with their insights on this situation going on as well, right? So I hope that helps, Mohammed, and thanks so much for tuning in. Vidusha says, thanks so much, Dean. Hey, no worries, Vidusha. Thanks so much for tuning in. We got Abhishek in the house. And Abhishek, shout out to Abhishek. Abhishek says, even after establishing the connections with people or hiring managers, it will still boil down to protecting the internal candidates. Yeah, I mean, it depends, Abhishek, right? Like if the company already has internal candidates that they're considering for the role, yeah, maybe they might lean more toward those candidates. But if you're talking about, your situation is you're outside of a country, and they're going to give preference to people already who are already in the country applying for the role. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're definitely going to prefer people who are already in the country. But the point I was trying to make to Vidusha before is to build those relationships, right? So don't be short-sighted, folks. This is not just for you, Abhishek. Like, don't think that just because you can get an immediate return on attempting to build a relationship, that you shouldn't put efforts into building the relationship, right? That's the point I'm trying to make. And that's the advice I give to Vidusha is, although maybe you might not be able to get a job or an offer while you're outside of the country, that doesn't mean you shouldn't take efforts in building those relationships, right? Building a relationship does not mean constantly asking someone, hey, can I apply for this role? Can you help me out with this? Can you help me with that? Can you help me with this? And I posted about this on Twitter recently as well. Building relationships with people, networking does not mean, folks, you're constantly messaging people and asking them for something. That is not networking. That is not good networking. That is not good relationship building. And most of you out there, that's what you're doing. And that's how you're viewing networking and relationship building. You're only reaching out to people when you need something. That's not the whole deal, right? So what you should be doing is, if you're outside of the country right now, you're trying to come to Canada or America or some other country. When I say build relationships, that means connecting with people in your field, your industry, whatever it is. And interacting with them, right? Maybe and most of you are probably going to be connecting with them on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, maybe these things. Interact with their posts, right? That's how you build. That's one way of building a relationship. Interact with their posts, comment on what they post. See if you can help them with some referral. Like you can refer someone that maybe in the country that they're at. right? It's all about adding value and adding value in order to build a relationship. That's the best way to look at it. So yeah, maybe you might not be seen as an immediate candidate for the role, but that does not mean, Abhishek, that you don't take more of a long-term outlook and see how you can build a relationship with the hiring manager or the recruiter, like in other ways, right? The point here is you want to be a consistent presence. You want to be someone that does come to mind when they are in a position to consider you for the role, right? Maybe after you move into the same country as them, or maybe you progress in your career, maybe you learn something new, maybe you get a certain certification, so that when you do get that, when all the chess pieces are in place, you're in a much stronger position to be considered, right? So hope that helps, Abhishek, and thanks so much for tuning in. Shalini says, thanks, Dean. Your tips always help me and been with a great organization now. Hey, I'm happy to hear that, Shalini. Thanks so much for your feedback. Your name definitely sounds familiar, like when I saw your comment before. So I'm happy to hear that. Really appreciate you sharing that. And I'm happy to hear that you're with a great organization now that you're happy with. So all the best to you, Shalini, and thanks again for tuning in. Raphael says, I feel as if I'll be great in an administrator role, but I'm having trouble getting in front of recruiters. What's a good approach? Okay, so Raphael, I'm not sure what your specific situation is. Like, are you, maybe you're transitioning from a totally different field and you're trying to get into an administrator role? The only reason I would see that recruiters would not want to interact with you, or they're not considering you for roles, is maybe because you don't have existing administration experience, like you haven't worked in a previous administrator role. In which case, Raphael, I would say, look, sometimes folks, you got to go direct to the source, go directly to the actual decision maker, right? Keep in mind, folks, that recruiters are not the decision maker. We're not the ultimate decision makers. We're definitely involved in the recruitment process. We deal with certain aspects of the recruitment process. We act more so like a filtration part of the process, right? We filter through the most matching top candidates, and those are the people that we pass on to the hiring team. So, Raphael, if your situation is recruiters are not seeing you as a strong administrator candidate, one of the things you can do is see how you can identify actual hiring managers at the organizations you want to work for and make direct contact with them, right? Maybe reach out to them on LinkedIn. That's one way you can do. Other thing is get involved in the industry, right? Whatever industry you're trying to get into, see what meetup groups there are, what networking groups there are for administrators. Attend those events, right? I would say, Raphael, I would definitely lean towards in-person events if you're comfortable with doing that right now. Like it's just different when you meet people in person and you network with them in person. Way more powerful than virtual events, in my personal opinion. Do that, but that being said, don't avoid the virtual events either. Like attend any virtual events. Attend events that have nothing to do with job searching and recruitment, but more so to do with the actual industry topics itself. So I don't know, maybe there's some events going on where you are, Raphael. That's I don't know, administrator related topics, things going on in the administration field. Like attend these events. This is where you're going to meet people. This is where you're going to meet other administrators. This is where you're going to meet actual hiring managers. Like you got to look at things outside of recruitment, outside of recruiters. Like who can you connect with outside of recruiters that can help, that might see promise in you and that might be able to advise you in the right direction, right? So hope that helps, Raphael. Great question there. We got Abdul Aziz who says, I agree with Peter. I was in the same situation and still got the job after reapplying. I had a good reason for declining. I also informed the organization and they were happy to tell me to reapply in the future. So, folks, see, I mean, Abdul Aziz, thanks so much for sharing this. Folks, look, perfect example here, right? I mean, Abdul Aziz, he basically, his situation, he's like, look, I was in a situation where I applied to this organization before. They gave me an offer. I declined at that time, but I gave a good reason, right? And the organization understood, and they were like, hey, you're more than welcome to reapply in the future. And fast forward, Abdul Aziz is in a situation where he reapplied to the same company that he declined before. But hey, they didn't take it personally, right? They didn't take it personally. They were like, okay, let's talk to this guy again. Let's see what's going on. Let's see if his situation fits with our situation. And he got the job. He got the job. He's happy. They're happy. Right. I mean, imagine if the organization got all, egotistical. They're like, oh, well, Abdul Aziz, he rejected us in the past. We're not gonna give him another chance. Forget about him. Screw him. Blah blah blah. I mean, if they did that, what happens, folks? Right? If you're a hiring manager watching this, if you're an organization watching this, what is your pride and ego? I mean, what is it costing you, folks? Right? And not just for organizations, for job seekers as well, folks. That's the question. What is our pride, our ego costing us in opportunities, right? Whether you're a job seeker, whether you're a hiring manager, whether you're a recruiter. Okay, unless this person was highly unprofessional, rude, impolite, they did something unethical, or they did something like, totally way out there. I understand that. I understand you not wanting to consider the person or the organization in that case. But outside of that, folks, all right, outside of that, let's not let our pride, our ego get in the way of amazing opportunities, right? So this is a perfect example right here that Abdul Aziz is sharing, of not letting your ego get in the way. This organization didn't take it personally, and guess what? They got an amazing candidate, right? Otherwise, they would not have considered him and hired him for the role. Thanks for sharing that, Abdul Aziz. Great real life example there. So we got, let's see, what we got, another question here from Anjali. Anjali Babu, thanks so much, Anjali, for tuning in. How long will the hiring process take in Canada generally? I'm seeing there are multiple rounds of interviews and weeks gaps between first and second. Yeah, Anjali, I mean, it depends. It depends on the organization, depends on how many stakeholders and decision makers are involved. But yeah, I mean, I've seen hiring processes move as fast as, 1 to 2, within, 1 to 2 weeks, because it's a much shorter interview cycle, that like there's only one or two key decision makers involved. But then I've seen, hiring processes go on for like, 3-4 weeks, right? Because there's just multiple people involved in the process. Typically, the case in larger organizations, right? Where larger organizations where there might be, 3, 4, 5 key decision makers, right? It's not just a manager involved. There's a manager involved. There's a team lead involved. There's peers involved, who are going to be part of the team. There's directors involved. There's vice presidents involved. In some cases, the C-level executive gets involved. So again, it depends, right? When you're talking about multiple people, you got multiple people's schedules, multiple agendas, multiple perspectives, it throws a bit more of complexity into the mix, right? So it depends. So I would say, again, yeah, that would be my response, Anjali. It depends. So I hope that helps, and thanks so much for your question. We got Vrunda in the house. Shout out to Vrunda. Vrunda says, hello, Dean. I attended a job fair in April last week and had an interaction with the CEO of the company, and he found my profile interesting. So he asked for sending in a mail for resume and profile background. I sent a mail on April 27th, waited for 15 days, and sent a follow-up mail on May 16th. Got a response to follow up on May 23rd when I was looped to the recruiter that they will contact me. Again, waited for a week and sent a follow-up to the recruiter on May 30th and got reply, let's meet. And still, okay, so the rest of your question is cut off, Vrunda. But I'm assuming your question is probably like, hey, what do I do? Like, do I, you met with the CEO, they seem interested in your background, and they asked you to send your resume, and, it's kind of been going back and forth from there. So first thing, now this is for you, for Vrunda, as well as everyone else out there, folks. Look, okay, and don't get discouraged or anything by what I'm about to say, folks. But look, just because someone asks you for your resume, folks, I mean, it doesn't mean that they have an actual current opportunity, right? I mean, sometimes people ask for your resume just to be polite, right? And maybe especially when you're meeting with someone in person, they're looking you in your eyes and they're like, I'm looking for opportunities. Can you help me? Do you have any opportunities at your company? Most people, folks, I mean, they're not going to say, hey, I don't have anything for you. Screw you, get lost. So don't bother me. Job seekers keep bothering me, blah, blah, blah. No one's going to say that, folks, right? Because most of us were raised to be polite, to be professional to other people and not hurt other people's feelings, right? Now, that's a good thing. But on the downside, it also means that most of the time people are not going to look you in the eye and say, sorry, we don't have anything for you right now, but hey, nice meeting you, goodbye. Like, no one's going to say that. Instead, the easier thing for most people to do is say, hey, you seem like you got a great profile, you got a great background. You know what? Just send me your resume, and hey, if something comes up, I'll definitely love to consider you for the role, and blah blah blah, something like that, right? I mean, that's the situation that's mostly going to happen, right? Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that they won't consider you for potential opportunities, right? But what I'm saying here is, folks, you gotta go in with realistic expectations when you're attending, networking events, career fairs, and stuff like that. Sometimes people are gonna ask your resume because it's the polite thing to do. It doesn't mean that they want to consider you for the role. It doesn't mean that they have an opportunity for you. It's just, I know it might sound crazy, but oftentimes it's just, the polite thing to do. So in this case, Vrunda, it could be that, maybe the role that the CEO wanted to consider you for, maybe they already have candidates that they're considering. maybe something happened, there's a holdup at the company, maybe the process is not moving forward, or maybe, like I said, maybe they were just being polite. Now, that does not mean be discouraged, folks. That does not mean be discouraged. That does not mean never go to networking events, never bother sending people resumes. That's not the point here. The fact is, Runda, you made a contact with a high level person at an organization, right? A CEO, right? This is a high level decision maker, someone with a lot of pull, a lot of gravity at the organization. So see it as if it's not converting into a job interview or anything like that, see this as a networking opportunity, because again, you made contact with someone who's in a very strong position at this organization. You want to continue building that relationship. So keep following up with them, right? Keep following up with the recruiter, keep following up with the CEO. Actually, just update the CEO, right? And also make sure you connect with them on LinkedIn, which is the primary social media that most of you will connect with people on in regards to these professional events. Always make sure that you connect with people on LinkedIn after you meet with them at an event, folks, right? And I believe you said, Vrunda, that you followed up with them 15 days after. Frankly, folks, following up after 15 days after the initial contact, that's way too long. I would say follow up within a week, right? Because, CEOs, recruiters, hiring managers, these are people who have they talk to so many people. They got so much stuff going on. After 15 days, that's like 2 weeks. They might not even remember you. They might not remember you. They might not remember the conversation. They might not even remember how excited they were about you and your profile when they met you. So you know what they say, you got to strike when the iron's hot, right? So don't wait too long to follow up. Don't wait too long to move things to the next step of the process, right? Whatever it is. So hope that helps, Vrunda. Don't give up and keep following up, all right? We got Eunice says, hello, friend. Hey, Eunice, thanks for tuning in. I've been trying to get a job in Canada. I can't. Yeah, Eunice. So maybe watch the replay. I actually provided some advice in regards to this to Vidusha, who asked a similar question as yours earlier on. So just maybe after the session's finished, just watch the replay from the beginning, and you'll see my response to that question, right? So we got Sneha says, how important is it for job seekers to have dates and timelines of their roles on the resume? Oh my God, this is so important, right? Really, really, really important. Folks, you got to list out the dates and timelines that you worked for companies on your resume. And also make sure those dates and timelines are in a format that is consistent. Like for one position, don't put, March 2018 to, December 2021. And then for another position, don't put, 2016 to 2018, right? It's got to be consistent, a consistent format. I would advise you to make sure that you put the month and the day and the year. If you're going to do month and year, make sure it's consistent throughout your resume, because if it's only, you're only putting the year, like, for example, 2021 to 2022, what does that mean? Right? What does that mean, folks? Does that mean, that could be, January 2021 to, May 2022, or it could be December 2021 to January 2022, in which case it would be you only worked at the company like 2 months, right? What if you only put the year? What does that mean, right? So this is why I always recommend, folks, you got to put the month and the year, right? Especially if you worked at the company for a significant amount of time. And the first thing I see when I see someone who's only putting the year in regards to the position is, first thing I'm thinking as a recruiter, and I'm sure Sneha, you feel this way as well as other recruiters out there. First thing I'm thinking, if the person's only putting the year, is they're trying to hide something, right? They're trying to hide something. Something went wrong with this company, and they were only there for a short period of time, and they had to leave, and blah blah blah. It's better to just put the month and the year there, folks, so at least the recruiter sees it and they'll ask you about it and you can provide a response instead of the recruiter making some kind of an assumption. So very, very important, put the month and the year and the timelines and the dates for all the positions on your resume. Mohammed says, sorry, maybe my question wasn't clear, but my current work permit process is 37 weeks. So do companies wait 37 weeks for us to join the company, or do you get an offer that will be valid for 37 weeks? Yeah, Mohammed, look, I've never seen a company wait 37 weeks for a candidate. Unless you're like, you're like a reincarnation of like, some extra special candidate, like, something like that. Personally, I've never seen a company wait 37 weeks for a an employee's work permit to come through, unless you are currently working for this company, and your work permit is in the process of being renewed. That's a different story. I mean, yeah, they'll probably wait in that situation and see how things work out, and they'll help you out with that and stuff like that. But if we're talking about you apply for a job, this is a brand new company. You never worked for the company before. You're going to join this company. I mean, no, I've never seen a company wait 37 weeks for a new hire, for their work permit to come through, right? So again, maybe that's something you want to discuss with your immigration consultant or something like that. But hey, I hope that works out for you, Mohammed. All right, I know it can be very frustrating, so I hope that works out for you, my friend. My thoughts are with you. Peter says, you mentioned that one tip to build relationship is referring. So a bit of help for your relationship building. Feel free to refer me. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely, Peter. Right. Hey, every time you come on here, Peter, I always tell people to follow you because you're always posting PMO stuff. And yeah, I mean, definitely, folks. Look, it's part of relationship building is seeing how you can help the other person, right? Peter is always interacting on my live streams. He's always commenting, he's liking, he's interacting in the comments. So guess what? Whenever I see Peter on here, that's why I'm always telling you folks, if you're interested in PMO stuff, make sure you follow Peter. And I believe right now Peter's outside of the country, but yeah, Peter, after you get here to Canada, absolutely. I mean, you're probably the first person I think about if I have a client, or if I'm aware of a hiring team looking for someone that's a PMO expert. And you know what? It benefits both ways, folks, right? Because when I think of Peter, I'm thinking he's like my PMO guy, right? Like whenever I think of PMO, I'm thinking about Peter. Likewise, I'm sure at his end, he's whenever he thinks of recruitment, I'm probably one of the first recruiters who comes to mind, at least in the tech space, right? Or at least I hope so, right? So it works both ways. It's kind of a very symbiotic kind of a relationship there, right? And that's how you got to look at your professional networking strategy and how things are working out in that arena. So great point there, Peter. We got Brock Dalton in the house. Brock, shout out to Brock. Thanks so much for tuning in, Brock. Brock says, hey, Dean, great job. I have over 60 open positions right now. Tell your followers to reach out to me. I'm happy to share the job descriptions. Let's help get people back to work. There you go, folks. So feel free to reach out to Brock. Thanks so much for tuning in, Brock, and appreciate your comment there. Bruna says, I'm not sure if I should consider this as a no, or should I keep following up along with other job applications? No, absolutely. You should keep following up for sure, Bruna, right? Until you get a firm, definite no that you're not being considered for a specific position. I mean, outside of that, don't give up, folks. A lot of you folks, you give up way too soon, right? Like, keep following up, keep putting yourself out there, keep getting in communication with these organizations that you maybe you want to join, maybe you want to make connections with, whatever it is. Don't give up. Keep following up. One of the major, I guess what's the word I'm looking for? One of the major purposes of follow-up is not just to get the immediate outcome that, hey, yeah, we want to interview you, yes, we want to consider you for the job, yes, we want to put an offer on the table. That's just one part of it. Another part of follow-up, folks, is simply maintaining communication. You want to be the first person they think about when things ultimately do unfold, and they are able to help you out with whatever it is you're looking for, you're looking to achieve with this organization, right? So you wanna look at it from a long-term standpoint. So Vruna, keep following up, keep building the relationship, right? And don't give up. Abdul Aziz says, my friend is a technical support expert with good experience. He wants to switch to a different field like DevOps. What's your advice for applying for a role in a new environment? Does he apply as an entry level for the role? Well, Abdul Aziz, that's a good question, and it depends. Like, does he have any exposure to DevOps? Does he have any exposure to this different field he's trying to get into? In that case, maybe not. And the other thing is, if my advice, I always give this advice to anyone, is look, if you're already working at a company, see if there are opportunities for your friend to transition into this new area within the current company he's at. Or if not, see if he can take on projects that will allow him to further build on this skill set and this area that he's looking to get into. And outside of that, of course, certifications, training, workshops, stuff like that. Right? I mean, see if there's any way that your friend can do that. But outside of that, if your friend has zero experience in this field that he's trying to get into, or zero exposure to that area, yeah, he might have to consider applying for entry-level roles. So hope that helps, Abdul Aziz. Great question there. We got Shalini. Shalini says we had a great one-on-one year ago. Awesome. Yeah, I knew that the name sounded familiar, Shalini. So thanks so much for that feedback there. Shalini said, what helped me from your previous feedback was to keep engaged in the interview process and ask for feedback, ask for updates, and don't be afraid to ask for a timeline, as your timeline is also important, and we all deserve closure either way during the hiring process. Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad that worked out for you, Shalini. Look, folks, I mean, look, transparency goes a long way, folks, right? Like, and you gotta be have the confidence, like Shalini here, like she had the confidence to communicate, um, and stay engaged in the interview process, right, with whoever her point of contact was, right? So I think that's great advice there and a great takeaway there, Shalini. So I appreciate you sharing that. You got to be willing to put yourself out there, folks, right? Ask for updates, ask for what's the next step in the process, ask for where you stand, because look, aside from you getting information and updates at your end, what does this communicate to the interviewer and the company? It communicates your interest. It because from their perspective, they're like, oh wow, I mean, this person's really engaged, they're really interested, and they're obviously really invested in this process. So let's take them more seriously. Let's provide them with an update. Let's maybe move them on to the next step of the process, right? Because they seem very interested and very involved. Look, folks, everything being equal between two competing candidates for the role, the hiring team, the recruiter, they always lean towards the one who's showing the highest degree of interest in the opportunity, right? So keep this in mind. So great takeaways there, Shalini. Thanks so much for sharing that. Peter says, definitely, Dean, if it's about Canada and recruitment, you're the first one who comes to mind. Okay, awesome. I'm glad I achieved that. And always great to see you there in the comments, Peter. All right. So look, that's looks like that's all for the questions today, folks. If you got value out of today's session, please hit a like and make sure you share this stream with anyone in your network who might benefit from today's segment. And also make sure you tune in every Wednesday, folks, at 11 a.m. Eastern time zone. I'm right here to talk about various job search and recruitment related tips, advice, and strategies. So make sure you mark your calendar, Wednesdays, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone. I hope everyone has a fantastic remainder of the week. And if you're job searching, don't give up. Keep putting yourself out there. Keep pushing through, folks, and keep taking action. All right. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in, and I'll see you around next time. Have a wonderful, wonderful remainder of the week.